This is the flagship station of the Jacksonville Jaguars. WJXL AM Jacksonville Beach. WJXL FM Jacksonville Beach. 1010XL is presented by Farah & Farah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Protecting you and your family. Call 396-5555. Jacksonville. Game day is underway. This is the Terminix Kickoff Show on 1010XL. Presented by Clearwater Irrigation and Gatorade Fast Twitch. Here are your hosts, Hayes Carline and Tom McManus.
Good morning, Duval. It is game day. We've got former Jaguar linebacker Tommy McManus here. We've got Dylan Denmark here. You might know him as Pockets. And I am Hayes Carline. We're getting set. Tom, it's here. We made it.
That's right.
Just let's start with, obviously, the Dolphins, such a sophisticated offense. What's it like for those Jaguar defenders today? Because obviously they're hard to figure out anyway, and they've had 4 months to prepare for you.
Yeah.
So as a defender, kind of walk us through what Foye Oluokun and Devin Lloyd and those guys are sort of going through this week and then into this morning as they get ready for the final minutes
Good
before
to be
kickoff.
Here with you again. What is this, year 2 for us?
That's right.
That's pretty bad. I think we kicked off the year last year too.
We did,
so hopefully it'll be another victory like it was opening day last week. Listen, any crossing patterns are tough. I mean, they're just tough. And if you're playing man and they try to, pick you or rub you, you got to get around it, either go underneath it, go over it. If it's zone, you're passing your guy off to the next zone and trying to pick up the next guy. And it's like so fast it'll make your head spin. You know what I mean? So how do you do that? You got to be physical at the line of scrimmage on those targets. So hopefully get them off their, so it's not a free shot across the field. And you got to hit the QB. And with Tua, you got to get in his face, hit him. Not just go around on the outside like our guys can do. You got to get that push up front and in his face, and that'll give him some problems. So, but a lot easier said than done. They're capable of putting up 50 on anybody, really, if you think about it. But if you get to Tua, you got a chance, I think.
You mentioned that defensive front. Do you like where the Jaguars are right now with that unit?
Well, we haven't seen Eric Armstead play, but I'm assuming he's going to be good to great.
Yeah.
I love Mason Smith. I think he's a star in the making. He's got a lot of potential. And, of course, Trayvon and Josh have looked really good. So I feel pretty good about the front overall. I think Hamilton had a good camp. Camp's funny. Preseason, it's like, you got to keep everything in perspective because you really don't know until they get out there and it's real. Real speed, full speed, every single play, for 4 quarters. Now we're into it, that's real. So we're going to find out what kind of team we have, at least early on. I think one thing I've learned, I know this, Hayes, the last 2 years, I mean, sure, we're going to critique them one way or the other. We're going to praise them when they do well and win, and we're going to get on them when they don't, or at least I know I will, but it's a long season, and we know how the last 2 years went, right? We were down, finished up. We were up, finished down. Same record, of course, but tale of 2 different seasons. So hopefully this one we can get off on the right foot.
And this one could be potentially really big in January. Doug was asked that earlier in the week and said, I don't want to put that on the guys. It's week 1. Yeah. But look, these are 2 teams in the AFC that could absolutely either be vying for seeding if they both win their respective divisions, which would not be a shock.
No.
Or they might be vying for just to get in as wild card teams. So,
absolutely.
This is somebody's going to get what could be a very important tiebreaker when we get to 2025, as far off as that seems from today.
Right.
So, something to bear in mind. Let's set the scene for you in terms of what we got coming up on the Terminix Kickoff show. So Frangie interviewed Doug Pederson. He does that every Friday. So we're going to replay that for you here in a couple of minutes. Then Frank will join us live in our next segment from Miami to give us his thoughts as we get closer to the 1 o'clock kickoff. We'll have the Fair and Fair injury report coming up. I had a chance to catch up with linebacker Foye Oluokun Friday in the locker room, so you'll hear that interview. Mia O'Brien is down in Miami. She will have outstanding coverage, as she always does, from the game. She's going to join us at 9 o'clock. That's Behind Enemy Lines by Pella Windows and Doors. We'll do our keys to the game at 9:20, Tom, and then Mia has an interview with left tackle Cam Robinson in our final segment that I'm really interested in hearing. She was very excited about that, and we'll have final thoughts, picks. So we've got a loaded kickoff show coming up for you. It's going to be fun. I mean,
here, man.
It is here. Give us a quick thought offensively before we get to Frank's interview with Doug Pederson. Well, just expectations for today, expectations for the season for that unit.
I'm expecting this offense to take the next step, including the QB, but everybody, the entire offense. What do I expect today? Look, I got them winning 27-24, so they're going to put up some points. I think Cam's going to have to make a kick in the fourth quarter. It'll be significant, but he can do it. I think it's going to be a tight game. But, look, I think the key today, in both sides, for the record, you got speed all over the outside. You got younger quarterbacks that, obviously got the big payday, and everyone's looking for them to take their team to the next step. But you got to stop the run on both. We got to stop their run, and they're going to have to stop ours. Their nose tackle is a guy named Benito Jones. You probably never heard of him, but he's a 6'1", 340-pound fire plug that's very good against the run that they grabbed from Detroit. Can we run on them? That's going to be one of the keys. Can our guards and centers get some movement? Tackles too, of course, but get some movement. Will our backs hit the hole at the right time like they did during the preseason? You saw when they hit the hole, and that set off how they run block, Hayes. It's all based on that timing, and when that hole opens up, it's not necessarily blowing your guy off the line of scrimmage. It's getting them moving sideways so you can find a hole somewhere in there, front side or back side, but the one cut and go. So will we see that today? But I think we're going to have to, it's funny, these two teams are kind of similar.
Yeah, oh yeah.
They really are.
I think two finesse teams. This is not going to be a street fight.
No, you're right. Two new coordinators, defensive coordinators. Right, they got a new one as well. They're going from a 4-3 to a 3-4. We're going from a 3-4 to a 4-3.
Yeah.
They got speed all over the place. Quarterbacks, everyone's waiting to see what they're going to be like in this upcoming year. It's exciting. Hey, they're just as excited about their team as we are about ours. So it should be an entertaining game. At the least.
Without a doubt. Well, let's hear what the head coach had to say. Doug Pederson joined Frangie on Friday, and here is that interview.
All right, now let's welcome in the coach, Doug Pederson, as we get closer and closer to a trip to Miami, along with Frangie in the afternoon. Doug, how are you, man?
I'm doing good, Frank. I'm doing good. Thank you. How are you?
We are doing great, and I'm excited. I got to tell you, as preseasons and camps go, from the outside looking in, man, I can't imagine this one going any better. How do you feel about where your team is and how they kind of got through this preseason period?
Frank, I feel good about where we are. I think, number one, the health of the football team. Going into week one, I think by far it's probably one of the healthier week ones I've been a part of. And really felt good about how the guys handled training camp. It was tough. We had the joint practice with Tampa Bay, and I thought they handled everything extremely well. So I've been pleased with where we're at right now.
You have told me, you said it publicly too, that these guys took that finish hard last year, and they came back committed. And I know you and I've had this talk a bunch. Trevor took it hard, and I think it showed up in camp. Where do you feel like your team is kind of emotionally as it gets set to head to Miami?
I think, emotionally they're in a good place. They're in a good spot. I do think that last year bothers them, as it bothered me. And it just gives us a little more motivation, a little more focus, a little more, I think, direction. And we understand that, internally we can be a good football team. And, so I think the guys are mentally ready for that.
What have you seen from Ryan Nielsen's defense now that you've seen it through 3 games? And obviously the starters didn't play a lot, but they played enough. What have you seen from the defense and how he's changed things?
I think the biggest thing is how we're coming off the football. We've obviously changed the scheme just a little bit. We're going to more of a four down front. Can still play some 3 linebacker looks and things like that in base, but really it's been about how we're coming off the ball, how we're moving in sync with one another on defense. There's not a lot of moving parts. I think that I look at guys like Tyson Campbell and Ronald Darby on the outside and how more aggressive they are. It's a little more kind of up in your face mentality as far as an alignment. guys like Trayvon and Josh Allen, come off the football has really been, exciting for me to see, because that's what we ask them to do. We ask them to get off the ball. We ask them to set an edge. We ask them to get after the passer. And then the other thing, too, I think, is our linebackers, Foye, Devin, Chad, Muma. Just the way they're more downhill in the run game. They're attacking gaps. I just think just a little more sound football, what I've seen with the defense so far.
Offensively, you've got some cool new pieces. Brian Thomas Jr., who's so fast, and Gabe Davis, a veteran guy. Mitch Morse, we just had him on the air yesterday, and what a neat guy and veteran, grown-up guy he is. How do you feel about the new pieces in the offense? And you're right, everyone's healthy. Christian's healthy, which is awesome. How do you feel about how that offense has come together?
Yeah, I've been pleased with the way these guys have come in, and the guys you mentioned, especially the free agents with Mitch and Gabe, and the guys have really bought into what we're doing, what we're teaching, and they just give us a lot of depth. They give us a lot of veteran experience, and something that we're excited about. And then Brian Thomas, our first round pick, just really excited to watch him play, and his speed obviously is is real, and he's fast, and looking forward to watching him all season long, and how he grows and matures, and how he handles the NFL stage. But been real pleased with all our free agents, all our new pieces, and just excited for this week one experience. Let's
get to that game a little bit. Miami led the league in offense last year, second in scoring offense. They're fast offensively, Doug. That's what everyone talks about. How do you defend this team, and what do you think when you watch Miami on tape?
Frank, that's the number one thing that really stands out is their speed. And then I think secondly, they do a nice job. Mike McDaniel's team, they do a lot of misdirection. They do a lot of motions and shifts and a lot of fast motions, jet motions, things like that really try to, trick your eyes as a defense. And it creates a lot of space in the passing game. It gets their runners on the edge. They're extremely fast in the backfield as well. And so you got to be extremely disciplined. You just got to trust your keys, trust your eyes. You can't get out of a gap. And then when you're tasked to guard Tyreek Hill, you've got to be on point. So it's an offense that's explosive. And so defensively, you have to be very disciplined in order to, defend it.
Now, it's going to be a fun game for sure. We get on a plane tomorrow. I got to ask you, I asked you this the other day off air, but because we were thinking about it. You still get jitters a little bit? You've done this a long time in a lot of ways. Still get kind of nervous a little? Is it a good nervous?
Frank, it is a good nervous, and I do. I still get the jitterbugs and the anxiousness a little bit, and I just want it. I want it so bad for our players. I want to win for our players, and when I played, obviously I was still nervous, but I could control things a little bit more when you're out there on the field. And now, you really just can't control it as much when you're on the sidelines. But yeah, definitely get nervous. It's a good nervous though, and 3 hours of football, and we'll see what happens.
Yeah, I'm kind of like I told you this yesterday. I get nervous, Doug. We're all nervous, so it'll be a fun day. But hey, thanks for spending some time. I know it's a busy week for you. I look forward to. I'll see you on the plane tomorrow, and good luck on Sunday, Doug. Thanks, buddy.
All right. Thank you, Frank.
All right. Doug Pederson, the Jaguar football coach. Jags in Miami coming up on Sunday.
All right, outstanding stuff there from Frangie and Doug Pederson. So
that's funny. My wife said to me yesterday, "I'm a little nervous." I'm like, "For what?" She's like, "Tomorrow's game." I'm like,
big game.
Tomorrow's game. Okay, cool.
Right.
I'm not nervous.
Yeah, they're not counting on us. Thank goodness. But
I'm not nervous. But I'm excited.
I do think, and we'll talk about this as the show progresses. But certainly, you set a tone today.
Oh yeah.
I mean, definitely. Without a doubt. So we'll see what they can do. But yeah, great stuff there from Frangie, and he's going to join us. The voice of the Jaguars will join us in our next segment. You were listening to the Terminix Kickoff Show on 1010XL 92.5 FM.
The past comes to life in the present.
And the Jaguars are going to the playoffs.
The memories bridge the gap to the future.
From 27-0 to win the game.
Experience the most play-by-play sports on 1010XL.
Navy Mutual was created by service members for service members, so we know what it means to serve. Our policies have no active duty service restrictions, so you can rest assured that you're covered no matter your duty station, home or abroad. To go even further, we promise that premiums will not be higher for those who serve in dangerous environments, including aviation, diving, or on deployments. Let us help you protect those you love the most. Learn more at NavyMutual.org.
Before termites attack your home or business and cause costly damage, Terminix it. At Terminix, we know how to stop termites. These destructive pests have been around for millions of years, but before they show up, so do we. And their time is up. Don't live with a termite problem? Terminix it. Visit Terminix.com today to schedule a free inspection online. That's TERMINIX.com. TERMINIX.com. Terminix it.
This is it. Shop the Lowe's Closeout event to get up to 70% off select major appliances for your home. Plus, get up to 60% off select patio furniture and accessories for your outdoor spaces. So hurry into your local store today because these deals are too good to last. Shop them now before they're gone because Lowe's knows savings. Lowe's knows home improvement. Valid through 8/7 while supplies last. Selection varies by location.
Hey everybody, it's Mike Dempsey. Here in North Florida, you know that when temperatures go up and your AC goes out, you need help now. Like right now. Like lickety-split. So why not call Lickety-Split and get same-day emergency service for your AC? Now, I bet you've seen their trucks all over town because they've got dozens of certified technicians ready to repair not only your AC, but your home's plumbing and electrical too. So when you want it done right, and you need it done right now, call Lickety-Split AC Plumbing and Electric.
What's the weekend in sports look like? I'm Dan Hicken, and I'll give you my take on the Weekend with Dan. Find it on YouTube and Facebook. Weekend with Dan, brought to you by Stone Core. We do outdoors better.
Don't bet the National Football League this season without your VSiN NFL betting guide. Betting previews for all 32 teams, betting trends, VSiN's exclusive in-depth win total projections, and a guide on how to use betting splits to bet and win. Download your free copy of the guide right now, featuring a betting preview of your Jacksonville Jaguars. 1010XL.com. That's 1010XL.com.
Being an athlete means having a healthy desire to do as much as you can with your body for as long as you can. Gatorade has lower sugar, electrolyte-backed hydration options to keep you rehydrated and replenished. Gatorade, for every athlete.
From Gatorade Zero to Gatorade Endurance Formula and Gator Light, there's something for every athlete. Find it at your local Winn-Dixie. It's a win-win. Gatorade, official partner of the NFL.
Want to be up close and personal with the Jaguars as they take the field? Here's your chance to be in the shadows, outside the Jaguars locker room, now called the Vault. Enter today at everbank.com/shadows. One winner and a guest for every home game at Everbank Stadium. No purchase necessary to enter or win. Open to legal residents of the United States and D.C. 18 and older. Entry periods for the Shadow Sweepstakes promotion from 8/19/24 to 12/15/24. For official rules and complete details, visit everbank.com/shadows. Sponsored administrator, Everbank N.A. member FDIC.
I'm here with Clayton Bromberg of Underwoods. Clayton, let's talk about diamond cutting. How is a diamond price affected by the way it is cut?
Frank, that's probably the most important question asked about diamonds because the trade-off between a diamond cut for maximum beauty and one that's not is the diamond's carat weight. You see, diamond cutters buy rough diamonds based on quality and weight. So as they cut the rough diamond, everything cut away affects profits. However, there's specific known cutting parameters, and each deviation from these means they have a heavier, less beautiful diamond. Unfortunately, a customer can't detect all those cutting imperfections. They need expert help about a diamond's cut grade. You see, for any round diamond of a particular color, clarity, and carat weight, there are as many as 10 different prices that can vary by as much as 50%. At Underwoods, we look specifically at how a diamond's cut before we look at anything else, because it's the most important factor when it comes to a diamond's beauty, and to us, whether it should carry the Underwood name or not.
1010XL is presented by Farrah & Farrah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Protecting you and your family. Call 396-5555. Jacksonville. Now, another great guest on the Garber Auto Mall phone line.
Hello.
We can wiggle it.
Welcome back to the Terminix Kickoff Show. We've got Tom McManus. We've got Dylan Denmark. I'm Hayes Carline. And we've got the voice of the Jaguars, Frangie. Frank, how you doing? How are the vibes in South Beach?
Vibes are good. This will be unusual. We haven't seen much of this in Jacksonville lately, but it's raining here, Hayes. I know that'll surprise you. It's a little bit of rain here. I know we haven't seen much, but no, everything's good. I've been around the team for a couple of days now. I think they're at a good place, and I think Doug did a good place, and they're healthy. Amazingly healthy, by the way, for as NFL teams go. So I think they're a good place. Can't wait to get going.
Frank, great to hear your voice, my friend. Great to be on the show with you once again. I got to commend Trent and Doug. They ran a very physical camp, Frank, as we both know, as opposed to last year, which I didn't think was very physical from a hitting standpoint. What do you expect out of this team as they take on the Dolphins? Are we going to see a more physical team than we saw last year?
I think so, Tommy, and I think you're right. I think that's a big part of how they want this year to be different than last year. We all know how it ended, losing 5 games out of 6 games and getting pushed around. And the ultimate push around game was the last one against Tennessee, where a struggling offensive front for the Titans, at least we thought, pushed the Jaguars around, and they couldn't make a yard on the other side of the ball. They couldn't make a yard from the 1-yard line, and that sort of became a microcosm of their season, didn't it? So I think that was a goal this year, to be more physical. I thought it was a great camp. Yeah. And I think to have as physical a camp, Tom, as they had and still be this healthy means they managed it properly. Mm-hmm. And I think they did. And, yeah, I think that's a big part. I think Mitch Morse makes him a little more physical. He's not a big physical guy, but he's going to be more – he'll play more physically than Luke Fortner did. I think they're bigger and stronger on the defensive front. Eric Armstead hadn't been able to play in the preseason, but he makes them more physical. Mason Smith ultimately will. I think their new scheme defensively will play to that. So, yeah, I think they'll be – look, they're not going to be the old Ravens, Steelers, hit you in the mouth team from the 90s or whatever, but I think they'll be a more physical team than they have been, and I think that's important.
Frank, Doug Pederson told you that Trevor Lawrence had really taken it personally what happened last year in the collapse. It really bothered him. I find this to be a really intriguing game for Trevor because if he comes out and really sets a tone and plays great, then – you're off and running, and you do kind of see that edge that maybe last year gave him. Do you think we're going to see that out of Trevor today? Are you expecting big things out of the franchise quarterback?
I am, Hayes. I think he's going to have a really good year. I think you have to be careful to that end, to what you just said, that you don't make up for all 14 interceptions last year by throwing 12 touchdown bombs today. You can't change everything that happened last year in one day. It's like the baseball team that gets way behind. You can't hit an 8-run home run. But yes, I think he's a very measured guy. I think he's a very. I told you this earlier. Gene Fournette, our friend from the Times Junior, wrote a terrific, I thought, profile of him, of how strong his faith is and how that keeps things in perspective for him and keeps him grounded. And I think he's that guy. But yeah, he's also competitive, man. He knows he didn't play as well. He played through some injuries. I think a big part of that too, Hayes, is he's healthy. He really was hurt. There's probably some games he shouldn't have played in last year, and he wound up playing in. And this year, it was an ankle, it was a knee, man. It was a concussion, it was a shoulder, it was everything. I think he's healthy. I think he's confident. I think he likes the new pieces on offense. I think he's going to play very well. I think there's going to be some offense in the game. I think that's the kind of game we're going to see a little bit, maybe more offense than we've seen in some of the first 2 NFL games.
Frank, a lot of similarities between these two teams, right? I mean, you look at their old lines, they both have question marks, a lot of speed on the outside. You got a new defensive coordinator on each team. But you also got 2 teams, I think, that have a lot to prove in the AFC conference, right? I mean, who the big dogs are. We saw them on Thursday night. Where are you going to fit in? And this game won't tell us everything, but it's a good way to kick it off and see where you do lie within the AFC, because that's going to be, like we were talking earlier, that could be an important game down the road if you come away with a victory today.
Yeah, Tom, the point you made about the comparison is dead on. There are 2 teams that are fighting to be among the elite in the AFC, but there are also 2 teams that have a chance to succeed there. You can be in the AFC and not have any chance to be one of the good teams. Well, they're not that. Both these teams, look, the Dolphins were 11-6 last year. They led the league in scoring. They got to get defense figured out, but they got the offensive guys paid. They're in a good place offensively. Now, the difference today, I think, Tom, is they're beat up a little bit. Mm-hmm. Jalen Ramsey's going to try and play, we're told. We'll see. Jalen Phillips has been hurt. I mean, think about this. He's not what is he, 8 months away from an Achilles. They've had some injured guys. Javon Holland's been banged up, whereas the Jaguars are healthy. So I think that's a big difference. But you're right. Both offensive lines are the concerns of their team. They would tell you that. Both teams can throw it down the field. We all know that. Whoever doesn't get beat over the top the most, that's important. I'll say one of the things to watch for, because I've talked to Doug and I've talked a lot about this, and I've talked to a lot of people in Miami that have certainly been around Mike McDaniel. Both teams think they can run the ball, and both teams think two backs. Travis Etienne, you know what he is. Tank Bigsby had the best camp of his life. That's two backs. Miami really likes Etienne, and they really like, obviously, Mostert. So both teams are going to try and run the ball. No matter how much we talk about Tyreek Hill and Tua and Trevor and Kirk, I think the team that runs the ball might win the game today because that's what they both think they can do. So keep an eye on that. I think it's a big key today.
Yep.
Frank, how do you think the Jaguar run defense then will match up?
Well, that's the key. I think you can't stack 7 or 8 in the box, Hayes. You can't do it. Not against these guys because they're going to throw it over the top all day long. So you got to play a 5 or 6 man box and hope that's enough. I think the Jags defense will be okay against the run. I think those linebackers have to play well. So I think to your specific question, I don't think Mostert and Etienne are going to go up and down the field. I don't think that's going to happen. I think you're okay there. The bigger question then becomes, as long as you do that, can you keep Tyreek Hill and Waddle from beating you over the top? I think that's not just today. That's going to be the big question for anybody who plays the Dolphins, is can you keep them from beating you over the top? And here's another part of that is the pass rush. I think Tua is a good player, and he deserves the contract he got. He's a well-liked guy in their locker room, Hayes, as you know. But he's not a big, strong-armed guy that's going to throw it off his back foot and throw it off balance and still whip it downfield. He doesn't have a Josh Allen or Patrick Mahomes arm. He's good he's really good when he can step into his throws. He gets the ball out quick. But he's not this big-armed guy that if you harass him, he's still going to make plays. He needs to make plays on schedule. So if you keep him from doing that, I think that's a big key as well.
You got to get some push up the middle, Frank. Get your hands up and get a chance to knock that ball down as it comes out quick. I'm looking forward to seeing Mason Smith today, Frank. He's a monster. I think a potential star in the making. Any other young guys that you're looking forward to in their first Jaguar appearance?
Yeah, I think Mason will play some. I think how much he plays depends on how Eric Armstead does. They said Eric Armstead's ready to go. They haven't said whether or not he's on a pitch count or not, so we'll see what happens there. So I think how much we see Mason will have a lot to do with how much you see Roy Robertson-Harris, but I'm looking forward to him as well. Look, I hate to take the chalk here, Tom, but we're all looking forward to watching Brian Thomas, man. Is he everything they said? He's so fast, and the speed is so real. You heard Doug say it on the interview I had with him the other day. That speed is so real, and can he change – some guys, and you know this, Tom, you play in the league. Some guys can change a team without touching the ball. If you're fearful of what he does getting down the field, and he stretches the field vertically, that where you got to back up a little bit, then all those crossing routes to Christian Kirk and that mid-range game to Evan Ingram also becomes better, becomes more prevalent because your safeties aren't tight to the line of scrimmage. So I think Brian Thomas, maybe not today, but I think Brian Thomason Jr. will change the way people defend the Jaguars and will help them do some of the other things they do even better. So to me, yeah, Mason Smith is high on that list. Some of the guys from last year, Parker Washington and Tank Bigsby, are high on that list in terms of young players. But I can't wait to watch Brian Thomas Jr.
From a target standpoint, Frank, how do you think it'll be distributed?
I think the ball's going to Christian Kirk and Evan Ingram. I think that this is a really important game. In a really important game, you go to your guys. I think the offense runs through those guys. I think it runs through Evan Ingram. But, I think there's going to be a high volume with those guys. I think Gabe Davis will have some targets. I think Brian Thomas Jr. will have some targets. But I would expect – look, Hayes, you know this team as well as anybody knows it. When they win and when they're at their best and when they've got it rolling, 13 and 17 are getting the ball. 13, 17, and 1 are getting the ball. And I think if we're looking at 4 o'clock today, this afternoon, and Evan Ingram's had a good game, and Christian Kirk's had a good game, and Travis Etienne's been very involved both in the pass game and the run game, then the Jaguars will have won the game. So, and I don't think that's totally different from any game. I think Gabe Davis will be a part of it. I think Brian Thomas is going to score some touchdowns. I think he's going to score some long touchdowns. So will Gabe Davis. That's what those two guys do. But the games the Jaguars win, 13, 17, and 1 have big games. The offense goes to those three guys.
Frank, what can we expect from first-time defensive coordinator Anthony Weaver in this Dolphins defense? What are you hearing about him?
I think the expectation is a lot of Raven stuff. That's where he cut his teeth. Now, look, he was with the Texans for a year as their coordinator, but he thinks like the Ravens do. He thinks there's a lot of pressure, a lot of four-man pressures. You got to count on your guys up front. I think they're going to do a lot of the stuff that the Ravens did, which is a pressure defense,
Mm-hmm.
And so I think if you go back and look, and Tom, if you go back and look at everything the Ravens have done, that's what I think the expectation. Nobody knows. You saw a little bit of the preseason, and the Jaguars have to play him first, so nobody knows what he's going to do. But the Ravens played with a toughness, man. The Ravens are probably as tough a football team as there have been in the league like ever, right? And I think the way they play, it's going to be interesting. Calais Campbell's there. Calais is going to start the game. But they've got some banged up guys, man. They've got Chop Robinson that hurt, the rookie. And Jalen, I just talked about, coming off the Achilles. So they've got some banged up guys, but I think they'll be a physical defense. I think that's kind of the idea.
I'm really interested in Ryan Nielsen in this matchup too, Frank, because I'm curious how he's going to play. We know he wants, ideally, to have the corners up and pressing, but you mentioned the exceptional speed that the Dolphins receivers have. So I'm interested in seeing, does he press because that's their identity? Does he play more off to respect the speed? And if he elects to play more off, I got to think Miami's going to go with a lot of quick passing because of Josh Hines-Allen and Trayvon Walker. So, man, those corners really, if they're going to play off, they've got to come up and tackle if the Jaguars are going to have success today. So I think that's going to be really interesting. What do you expect to see?
Well, it's a great question because, number one, we think he wants to be he's the four-man front. We know that. We think he wants to play a lot of press man, one guy, a single high, and then a lot of guys pressing. But we think that. We don't know that, but because we haven't seen it yet. But that's the expectation with Ryan Nielsen. Having said that, you can't do that today. I can't imagine. I'm guessing now. I don't know. But I can't imagine that you're going to press Jalen Waddle and Tyreek Hill in game one in this defense when you haven't had Eric Armstead at practice, so your pass rush may not be quite what you want it to be. I've got to believe 5 or 6 in the box, no more than that, and safety's playing back. The cornerbacks, what they do is less important at that point, in my mind, Hayes. What you can't do is the cornerbacks got to play well because they have those two great receivers, but you can't get beat up at the top. I mean, there's nothing more demoralizing than you play good defense, and then Tyreek Hill runs by you for a 64-yarder. There's nothing that sucks the wind out of a team more than that, and that's so you can't get beat over the top. So to your question, I'm guessing here, but I don't guess it's going to be a lot of press man across the front with a single high safety. I don't think he can play that way today. I'd be very surprised if they do.
Yep, I would agree. Well, Frank, thank you so much for the time. We'll certainly look forward to your call and have a safe trip back. I look forward to seeing you on Monday.
Fellas, I'm glad it's here, right?
Yeah.
It's here. We're excited. Thanks for having me on, boys. We'll talk soon.
All right. Bring back a win. That is Frank Frangie, voice of the Jaguars, and we'll certainly look forward to the broadcast coming up later. When we come back on the Terminix Kickoff show, we're going to give you the injury report, and also had a chance to catch up with linebacker Foye Oluokun after practice on Friday, so we will play that interview for you as well. You were listening to 1010XL, 92.5 FM.
Choose your social channel. Twitter at 1010XL. Facebook at 1010XL. Instagram at 1010XL. TikTok at 1010XL. YouTube at 1010XL. 1010XL is there.
Look out, world, we're getting strong. The future's here and we belong. She can stand, she can do more. Like build a rocket and watch it soar. Or clean the oceans and make the world a better place. Oh, she can stand, so can you. Find a cure, invent something new. There's no challenge in the world that she can't face. She can STEM.
Learn more at She Can STEM. A message brought to you by the Ad Council.
Injured in an accident that's not your fault? Don't worry, Zach's got your back. I'm Zach Von Rowan at Von Rowan Law, and over the past 20 years, I have fought to recover millions from my clients throughout Jacksonville. If you've been injured in an accident, have mounting medical bills, can't work, don't worry. Zach's got your back. I will fight for the compensation that you deserve and will be there every step of the way. Go to Zach'sGotYourBack.com to set up your free consultation with me today. Zach'sGotYourBack.com.
Have you tried golfing at the improved Cimarron Golf Club? If you haven't, I tell you what, you're missing out on the best deal in Jacksonville. Now, many of you have received a postcard in the mail, and of course, if you bring that with you, $45 plus tax to play. That includes a cart, lunch, and a beer at the brand new Stone Barrel Tap House. Now, go to the website, that is CimarronGolfClub.com, and sign up for the Wild One Loyalty Program. That's the Wild One Loyalty Program, and get all of these specials emailed to you from Cimarron.
Hey everybody, Jennifer Marion with Randy Marion Cadillac in Jacksonville here to say hello, and we'd sure like to have your business.
You know what? They're going to love the king of price.
My dad believes in making great deals and having a great selection in stock.
Cadillac XT4s, XT5s, and XT6s, and Escalades.
The all-electric Cadillac Lyriq.
CT4s and CT5s.
Cadillac luxury and selection is just waiting for you.
At Randy Marion Cadillac, Southside Boulevard, Jacksonville.
And don't forget, tell them Jennifer sent ya.
It's the Sporting Jacks Soccer Hour. Join Cole Pepper, Mauricio Ruiz, and Becky Burley as they discuss the latest in the world of soccer, including Sporting Jacks bringing pro men's and women's soccer to Jacksonville. Tuesday nights at 6 on 1010 a.m.
15,000 workers. I'm Brian Rose from Remedy Staffing. We survey 15,000 blue-collar workers each year to better understand what drives quality and dependability in our workforce. The survey shows when looking for a new job, the initial pay rate, job security, and safety while working are the most important factors for hourly workers. If you're an employer and would like to learn more about the voice of the blue-collar worker, please call us at 904-528-1933.
Hey everybody, Mike Dempsey here for Dandy Foods. Dandy subs and sandwiches. Look, we always want you to think about those great options as you're driving around Duval. But the beauty is, even as I'm dropping pounds, Dandy's got great options for me as well. Told you all about their protein packs, delicious salads that they have out there. They have fruit cups for on the go. You know what they have. Veggie snack trays. You can grab those on the go as well. Perfect, healthy snack. Dandy is the name to know when you're on the go. So stop into a Gate store anywhere around Duval and make yours a Dandy, and do it today.
3D Digital has you covered for any of your business's digital marketing needs. From producing award-winning videos to getting those digital ads to follow your customers around the internet, our team has your back. Visit 3ddigital.com or give us a call at 904-712-4004 to schedule a free consultation today. 904-712-4004.
Does the building you go to work in every day need a little love and attention? Jason Parker here with Performance Painting. Great companies take great care of the buildings their staff and customers walk into every day. If the building you're in doesn't match the vision you have for your company, we can help. Go to performance-painting.com. Our highly trained team makes the difference. Quality coatings applied with pride.
Performance Painting. Duck Rooter is currently hiring in all departments. We want great plumbers, CDL drivers, drain field installers, and lift station technicians. If you have experience in your trade and love to deliver a super high-quality level of customer service, you have found the right company. You will enjoy our benefits package that includes excellent weekly pay, paid holidays, health insurance, and working for the best in the industry. Apply at duckduckrooter.com. That's duckduckrooter.com. And click on the careers page. Duck Rooter is an equal opportunity employer.
VSiN's College Football Guide delivers betting previews of all 134 teams with best bets for the playoffs, Heisman Trophy, season win totals, conference winners, and much more. Only on VSiN. Pro subscribers get the full guide, but you can download your free copy of the guide right now. Featuring a betting preview of the Gators, Seminoles, and Bulldogs at 1010XL.com. That's 1010XL.com. 1010XL.com. Download your free copy of the guide right now.
1010XL is presented by Farah & Farah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Protecting you and your family. Call 396-5555. Jacksonville. Starting your game day.
The Terminix Kickoff Show.
Presented by Clearwater Irrigation and Gatorade Fast Twitch on 1010XL.
All right, welcome back. We've got Tommy Mack. We've got Dylan Denmark, Pockets. I'm Hayes Carlyon as we get you set for Week 1, Jaguars at Dolphins. Tom, we're going to get to the injury report here in a minute, but I'm curious from your experience as a player.
Yep.
What is it like? You train, you're healthy all through training camp. You make it through, but you get to that first game. What is the football shape? What's the difficulty of that, and what will these players have to kind of get adjusted to today now that it is live and you're going full speed?
Well, I think it's somewhat equivalent to like when you go from the regular season to the playoffs. Things get faster. So you do have to adapt to that. You hopefully adapt to it a lot quicker. Sooner than later. So you'll have some of that today. I'm not going to say rush, but the timing may be a little bit off early because the speed is different. But hopefully, look, they get the key to me. I think to any game really, and the key to the offense coordinators, get that QB and your offense in rhythm and get it in rhythm early. And we know what it looks like when the Jags are in rhythm. Right, they're completing passes, the running game's going back to the pass, back. You know what I mean? It's a good balance, keeps them off balance, and I think that needs to happen today.
Absolutely, Dylan. Let's fire up that injury report.
The personal injury attorneys of Farah and Farah present this injury update. Farah and Farah,
Jacksonville,
exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars.
All right. Well, as Frank mentioned in the last segment, incredibly healthy team for the Jaguars, Tom. Daniel Thomas has been ruled out. He did not travel with the team to Miami. So he has an Achilles injury that will keep him out. Obviously, that affects the special teams. But offensively and defensively, the Jaguars are in incredible shape. The Dolphins have more guys on the report, but as long as they have Jalen Ramsey, and I think he's going to play, he had like a hamstring until he got paid, and then all of a sudden the hamstring was fine. Yeah. So he's listed as questionable, but I think the Dolphins are going to have Jalen Ramsey. They do play a game in 5 days. They play the Bills Thursday night. So that is something to be mindful of, that they'll be playing 2 games in 5 days when it comes to managing somebody that might be a little iffy, but my guess is Jalen Ramsey's going to play. The only player that the Dolphins list is out is receiver Malik Washington. Now, obviously, Bradley Chubb is on PUP.
Right.
OBJ, thank you, is on PUP. So those guys aren't on the injury report because they're not technically on the 53-man roster right now. They're on PUP or injured reserve. So anyway, so the Jaguars have a health advantage for sure.
Without a doubt. And I'll tell you what, man, first time I see Brian Thomas Jr. opposite Jalen Ramsey with no safety help, I'm going deep.
Yeah.
I mean, listen, even if it's a tiny discomfort in that hand, he may not be able to open that gate. We saw it with Tyson last year. I mean, there's a difference when you can really open up and when you can't. So I would take those chances early and make him, because let me tell you something. I don't know. I'll throw it into the crystal ball, but if he gets beat deep, he may pull himself out of the game. Is all I'm saying.
Yeah. Well, I think it's a great point. Yeah, I mean,
he may.
And what is that like in terms of if you're playing through a hamstring and you can physically play, but particularly at that spot.
Yeah.
Where you are. I mean, look, Brian Thomas is a 4.3 guy.
Yep.
So and Gabe Davis is incredibly fast.
Absolutely.
I mean, no matter who Jalen sees there on the outside, it's going to be somebody that absolutely can get vertical.
Well, he can still be very physical, So it's just that opening up extra gear that it may be, but that may be enough to beat him over the top. You know what I'm saying? So. Look, those things can be tricky and they can hang around for a long time. So I read earlier today that he may be limited. Like they may, let him play a little bit, but we'll see how it goes. But as we all know with Jalen, like he may give up. He may, if you go after him and he gets beat deep. But I think the key will be, can, Brian Thomas and others get off the line of scrimmage? He's still a great corner, whether we like him or not. He's still a great player.
Sure.
And he's very physical at the line of scrimmage, and he's physical when he wants to be. So, hey, look, I want him all full strength and beat him that way. But if there's it's always like, if a quarterback's got a little injury, you know what I'm aiming for. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
You got to go after. You got a little break in the chicken wing. You got to break it all the way. Yeah, absolutely. So you got to take advantage of that.
Well, the other thing, too, that I do think is really interesting with how the Dolphins approach this game is Thursday night they host the Bills in what is going to be a much more important game for Miami than this one is. This is AFC versus AFC, and there is some importance in that, but nothing is like playing a divisional team. Like, I mean, if Tyson Campbell, and again, this is where you don't know, is Jalen Ramsey, does he really have a hamstring injury, or was he basically upset about his contract and made it up because that's what he's done before?
Yeah.
So if he's really dealing with a hamstring, like if Tyson Campbell was dealing with a hamstring injury and the Jaguars were getting ready to host Houston on Thursday night, I think there'd be a lot of sentiment of, do we make Tyson inactive for the Miami game to give us a much better chance of having 100% Tyson for the Houston game? So I'm curious to see how Mike McDaniel does handle it with Jalen Ramsey, because they have nothing behind him.
No, I know. Actually, who do they have? They have a young guy named Connor or something.
Yeah. I think it's Ethan Bonner, maybe?
Ethan Bonner, sorry. Bonner, yeah, good call. Listen, man, it's challenging regardless. You know what I mean? And it's going to be a challenge today. I think Mike McDaniels is a wizard when it comes to his offense. He's going to have some wrinkles. He's going to throw things at you you're not ready for. He's going to use that speed. I mean, you saw what speed can do when you watch Kansas City the other night. I mean, that Xavier Worthy, now granted faster than anybody out there, but you see that. I like to see us use Brian Thomas in that manner. But that's going to be, something that you're going to have to deal with in that regard. But look, at the end of the day, I think it is really important. If it was an NFC team, I agree. Okay? But it's an AFC opponent. And by the way, not just any AFC opponent. It's a team that most people feel is right there with you.
Right.
On the verge of maybe breaking into the upper tier of the AFC. I know it's game one. I think, look, the one thing about that extra game, you have time to catch up if you don't win the first game. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So you got time. I mean, you want to win. I know what the stats show. If you go 0-2, you don't win. I know that can happen. But, look, if it was an NFC opponent, I totally agree. I don't know. I think I'd play it. Look, at the end of the day, if you can go, you go. Because we need to win this game. Which is a great way to start off 1-0 than 0-1. And going into Buffalo 0-1 won't be,
right.
That's not ideal for them either.
And I think that's where it's headed, is that Jalen will be active today. But it is interesting just because they do play another game in 5 days. Tough way to open the year, 2 games in 5 days.
Thanks, NFL.
Yeah. Well, and again, the good thing for the Jaguars is, I mean, they're not really dealing with that on defense, or really on either side of the ball. Again, we talked about Daniel Thomas is out. But as you look at the Jaguar defense, I'm really excited for Foye Oluokun this year. He's had 357 tackles in his 2 years as a Jaguar, but perennially underrated, hasn't really gotten any of the national acclaim. But this could be the year for him. He's 29, obviously. He signed an extension this offseason. And I think Foye Oluokun in this defense is got a chance to really elevate and make more of the big splash plays. So I had a chance to catch up with Foye after Friday's practice, and here's that interview. We're pleased to be joined with Jaguars linebacker Foye Oluokun here on 1010XL 92.5 FM. Man, it's great to see you. How you doing?
I'm doing well. How about yourself?
Doing good. How was the week?
Solid. Good little work week. Got all of our practices in, executing and stuff, flying around with the boys again. Game plan week is way different than preseason, so excited to attack week 1 like that and excited to get back on the field playing.
How excited are you, Foye, to play a first game with Ryan Nielsen as coordinator?
I'm excited to play with him as a coordinator and play with the team that we got now. Just put a product on the field, fly around, play competitive football. That's what I'm really most excited for, playing with the boys, competing for the boys, getting that dub on Sunday.
What does it mean to you to have Devon Hamilton back at full strength?
It's great, seeing him run, his effort plays, his physicality, just knowing what a game maker he could be up front. It's just great to see everybody at full strength and, just in general his health, you know what I'm saying? Seeing him in higher spirits than last year, it's very good to see.
Foye, what's the challenge Miami will present in that pre-snap motion, things that they kind of go through schematically?
Yeah, I'm sure they want to make sure your communication's on point, and then I'm sure they're motioning to get guys in space, get their guys moving before the ball snap, basically get their speed used to their advantage. So it's all about expecting motions, being able to communicate through motions, every first picture is not going to be the last picture. So just making sure all the way through the game, mentally, you're on point, even more than physically, to be honest. But heat's there, speed's there, going to be a long game. So making sure we're on task for the whole thing.
In your experience, that week one, how tricky is that in terms of anticipating what the opponent's going to try and throw at you that maybe they haven't put on film before?
You're always going to see plays or reps, not reps, but schemes that they might come up with in the off season they've been saving for the regular season this year. So you got to be able to own your own plays, own the rules and stuff in your own plays, to communicate yourself through stuff. And then sometimes it's about running and hitting. You got to hit yourself out of some problem plays, bring the physicality to them.
How do they utilize their running backs, and what kind of skill set do those guys have?
Yeah, they utilize their speed a lot, like I was saying, a lot of misdirection kind of stuff in the backfield, a lot of motions, trying to get your eyes off of them while they might, start pulling and stuff the other way. So keep your eyes right, eye discipline, and communication, and it'll usually take you to the ball.
You guys have really done a good job building up that defensive front and getting a good rotation there. Do you have some confidence that you guys will be able to hurry Tua up maybe a little bit?
In the pass game, let's win first, second down, make them drop back on third down. I know they like a lot of quick game, a lot of little boots and stuff, trying to get people the ball in space. A lot of times it's a quick 1-2 read. So if we dominate first, second down, make them get in the longer passing distances, really let that line start eating. But that's the name of the game in football. You got to really own those first 2 downs and get them in the third and long to see what they're really made of.
What kind of strides have you seen out of Tyson Campbell?
A lot of confidence, man. He's always had the speed, he's always had the tools. Now it's just a lot of playing defensive back is mental anyway, so just the confidence that he can go out there and win every rep. When he does win, he lets you know that he's winning. So I love to see it. He's becoming a big vet in this league, in his locker room, and everybody's kind of feeling that.
Foye, what's your routine now with Friday practice over before you head to Miami?
Definitely keep watching a couple games, a couple of their last year games, a couple of preseason games maybe. I'm going to take a big nap when I get home, start getting my body back right in order to be flying around on Sunday. A lot of recovery stuff, but the film and stuff, just making sure everything lines up to what I've seen before. Shout out Tyson Campbell.
Going into week one, do you have any individual goals for this season, Foye?
Win, that's all.
Foye Oluokun, thanks so much for your time. Best luck to you.
Thank you. Nice talking with you.
Win. We love that, Tom. What are your impressions? Give us your scouting report on Foye Oluokun.
Oh, he's fantastic, man. I mean, he's a playmaker. He makes a lot of tackles, no doubt, but he's good in coverage. I mean, that big pick 6 that he had against New Orleans last year, I thought would have really propelled him on the national map even more. He's a good boy because I went out on Friday night, so he goes home and he recovers. That's smart. I should dang that, I should have thought of that. But no, he's very good, man. I love him as a player. And he's a sure tackler. He's good in space. Knows how to play that game. And, there's something about linebackers that just have a nose for the ball. It just comes second nature. He has it, and then he finishes well. So I like him a lot.
And he's such a great communicator. How important is that piece? I mean, defensively, because he's now, this will be his third year now, kind of directing the defense, calling out the
as
signal.
we know and we've seen in the past, if you're not on the same page, you give up big plays. You know what I mean? If you're not on the same page in coverage, the front, et cetera. So it's very important for that backer to communicate. And he does. He does a great job with that. And look, this defense, they've got a lot to prove. Last year wasn't good. Started off good. They were good pretty much through, 10, 11 games. We were all sitting there going, wow, our defense is pretty good. Wow, they're actually kind of carrying the team from time to time. And then it went south, then 5 games in a row. You couldn't stop the run. You couldn't get off the field. It was just bad football. So they got a lot to prove, and hopefully they're ready to do it today.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's set the scene for you for our next hour once we get back from break. So Mia O'Brien is down in Miami covering the game for us today. Obviously, check out all the stuff Mia will do digitally. So she'll join us for Behind Enemy Lines in our next segment. Then Tom and I are going to go over our keys to the game, and then we'll have a Mia player interview with left tackle Cam Robinson. We'll do final thoughts. We'll do our picks. So all that coming up in the next hour on the Terminix Kickoff show, which will lead us into the Publix Tailgate show starting at 10 o'clock. And, of course, Kickoff 1 o'clock. Jaguars at Dolphins. We've got coverage for you all day. Post-game, we've got the 5th quarter tonight with Hacker, Coach Campo, and Leon Searcy. So this is where you need to be to get excited and hopefully enjoy a big Jaguars Week 1 road victory over the Miami Dolphins. But when we come back, Mia O'Brien is going to join us from Miami to give us her scouting report of what to watch today. You are listening to the Terminix Kickoff Show on 1010XL 92.5 FM.
If you're looking for custom metalwork, look no further than Superior Fence and Rail. Whether it's custom railing, shade structures, or custom entry gates, their expert team controls the turnkey process. From CAD design and raw metal to powder-coated finish and expert installation. When you choose Superior Fence and Rail for your custom metal project, you get a project that's, well, superior. So get off the fence and call Superior Fence and Rail today.
Don't bet the National Football League this season without your VSiN NFL betting guide. Betting previews for all 32 teams, betting trends, VSiN's exclusive in-depth win total projections, and a guide on how to use betting splits to bet and win. Download your free copy of the guide right now, featuring a betting preview of your Jacksonville Jaguars. 1010XL.com. That's 1010XL.com.
Clearwater. John, I can't even mow my side yard. It's so soggy. Man, my builder sucks.
Brent, calm down. This is a common problem in neighborhoods where houses are built too close together. You need gutters and a properly installed French drain that will soak up subsurface water. We can completely dry it up.
So I can take my builder off my speed dial now, huh?
Yeah, we got you, buddy. Let that builder bitterness go.
Clearwater irrigation and drainage too.
We've seen it 1,000 times. Insurance companies using the same tired excuses not to pay. They'll say you're really not hurt, or that your injury is from an old accident. That's why it's so important to hire a law firm who has their own medical experts, who know how to fight excuses with facts. When they bring excuses, we bring the truth. And truth is power. Farah and Farah, here for you, here for good. Jacksonville.
It was a long off-season, but the NFL is back. The NFL regular season is just days away. It's time. Kickoff Week is brought to you by Roland Reich Plumbing, where quality and experience count.
I hope you're ready. Are you ready? I'm ready.
On 1010XL.
Universal Roof and Contracting has been protecting Florida homes from the elements for over 30 years. Call Universal Roof and Contracting today for a free roof inspection and get 15% off your roof repair or replacement. Plus, flexible financing options and payments as low as $115 a month. This offer expires September 30th. Call 855-ROOF-HELP.
License number CCC 1330747, CBC 1258484.
UniversalRoof.com.
The average cost associated with childhood cancer is a startling $833,000. This is Tom Coughlin, and September is Childhood Cancer Awareness Month. Help the J Fund raise awareness to help our neighbors and community members tackling this devastating disease. Visit tcjfund.org/September for more information.
A customer called DuckDuckRooter saying they had some nasty stuff backing up inside their home. So we went with our camera to look inside their plumbing lines. And sure enough, tree roots in the sewer line. Need to see what's blocking your lines? Call our team to locate the issue and provide solutions to resolve it. 904-862-6769. Visit DuckDuckRooter.com. Proud partner of the Jacksonville Jags. DuckDuckRooter, your fully insured and certified plumbing contractor, residential and commercial.
I'm Taylor Rose with our Remedy Staffing Westside office off of Normandy Boulevard. We are helping great people find great jobs. Remedy has helped some of the best employers in Jacksonville find talented job seekers like you for over 25 years. Our current job openings range from entry-level distribution center pickers to equipment operators. Apply today at remedygoodjobs.com. Don't wait. Apply at remedygoodjobs.com now.
This is the flagship station of the Jacksonville Jaguars. WJXL AM and FM, Jacksonville Beach. 1010XL, home sweet home of the Jacksonville Jaguars. 1010XL is presented by Farah and Farah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Protecting you and your family. Call 396-5555, Jacksonville. Now let's go behind enemy lines. Behind enemy lines. Brought to you by Pella Windows and Doors on 1010XL.
All right, welcome back to the Terminix Kickoff Show. We've got Tom McManus.
Yes, sir.
We've got Dylan Denmark. I'm Hayes Carlin, and we've got Mia O'Brien joining us live from Miami. Mia, good morning. How are you doing?
Good morning, gentlemen. Been listening to the program since you got going. Sounds fantastic and excited for another season ahead.
Absolutely. We are as well. So give us the lay of the land. How does it feel down there in Miami, and what are your expectations for today?
Yeah, I've been asking everybody who I've run into here at the hotel, just out and about, what they've seen. Our good friend, of course, and Dylan's co-host on the Gator Daily, Denmark and Marsh podcast, Graham Marsh, is also down here. He said that the Hard Rock Casino yesterday literally was decked out with Jags fans. He couldn't see fans of any other fandom there at that Hard Rock Casino throughout the course of a college football Saturday. I know even at my hotel, I've seen plenty of Jags fans asking people if they're going to the Bold City Brigade tailgate up in Fort Lauderdale this morning. And even when we were out at the restaurant last night for dinner, multiple Jags fans at different tables, to the point that a couple waiters came up to us and they're like, really? This many people drove down from Jacksonville? And so I don't know if that's an indication of apathy perhaps, or, struggling Miami Dolphins fan base, and maybe there won't be as many of them. I don't think that'll be the case. But I'm very, very curious to see how much teal and black is at Hard Rock Stadium today.
Mia, who are you looking forward to the most today? Is there a player that you're just hoping has a monster day, and who would that be, do you think?
Yeah, for me, Tom, I've said time and time again that this game is going to be won between the front three, interior three along the offensive line for both the Jaguars and the Dolphins, and that interior 2 to 3, depending on what formation you're lined up with on the defensive line. The Dolphins' losses this offseason, I believe, have been incredibly underreported. The idea of losing Christian Wilkins, who is perhaps the best interior pass rush defender in the National Football League, not named Chris Jones. Oh, and by the way, he also was their best run defender last year, coupled with the loss of Raekwon Davis in free agency, their second best run defender, suggests to me that the Jaguars, if they truly have taken this run game down to the studs and are going to be committed to it, they have an incredible opportunity in front of them. Outside of Zach Seiler, I don't see anybody who will be on the field for more than a down or two at a time, because I expect Calais Campbell to be on some form of a pitch count, considering he turned 38 this week. Shout out to Calais and happy birthday to him. And so that is where I believe the Jaguars have an absolute opportunity in front of them. I also believe that they have an opportunity on the other side, knowing that the interior of the Dolphins' offensive line has struggled with injuries and also has 2 new starting guards heading into 2024.
You think big day for Travis Etienne?
I do. I also think of, God, you're all going to lose your minds, and you're going to start grabbing your head and saying, Mia, why did you put this into the universe? Big day for Tank Bigsby. I would like to think. I know that I've heard from our friend Cam Wolf at the NFL Network, who joined Helmets and Heels on Friday. He said polling the Dolphins locker room, Travis Etienne is priority number 1 for this Dolphins defense. And so certainly, yes, Tim Hayes, no doubt about it. But I just can't get away from seeing what I did in the preseason, seeing what I did in training camp with this quote-unquote new look run game of the Jaguars, and what Tank Bigsby can do for you in between the tackles, something that Travis Etienne, while certainly can do, is not his forte. And so, personally speaking, I think you have to see a healthy dose of both running backs today.
I would think priority 2 for Dolphins defense is to stop Evan Ingram. I'm expecting a big day out of our tight end today, Mia. How about you?
Yeah, I am as well, Tom. No doubt about it. What I also think is going to be fascinating to see is that middle of the field the Jaguars struggled so mightily with in 2023. Yep. This idea of now having Brian Thomas Jr. and Gabe Davis and that opportunity to throw it deep along the sideline, you have to still respect that middle of the field. It is kind of curious when you consider Christian Kirk and Evan Ingram, arguably the Jaguars' 2 best receiving threats over the past 2 years, and yet at the same time, they struggled to throw the ball over the middle of the field, which is where both those players make their bread and butter. So I think we saw a little bit of it in the preseason. I think it'll be fascinating to see exactly where Evan Ingram lines up, and if it is indeed that area that was a weakness last year becoming a strength for the Jags.
Trevor Lawrence made it clear that obviously last season's collapse he took personally. It bothered him. but he's not a guy that we've seen play with much of an edge. He's sort of an easygoing guy. Do you think we see a different demeanor at all out of Trevor Lawrence? And does that start today? And how do you expect that Trevor will play today and throughout the season?
It has to start today, Hayes. There's no doubt about it, because it's not something that you can suddenly manifest and wait for. We heard this team say last year about how they were waiting for the spark akin to the spark that carried them through 2022. They've learned their lesson. The spark is not coming. You have to create the spark. And so I think that they know that all full and well. I will just tell you that, and again, I know that there are those of you saying, driving around right now, she's talking with teal-colored glasses, it's the Superstation, the homers. I'll just be honest with you. I will give you the anecdote. There was one day after practice where I was there a little bit later. Trevor and his family were there. They were talking to him. Myself and a couple other photographers were walking out, and he went out by himself, and he started running sprints. And I looked at a member of security, and I said, that's a little weird. Like, he doesn't usually do it. And he's like, no, he's been doing it every day. And so, look, I'm not saying that a couple extra sprints after practice are going to translate into a different demeanor, but it is a microcosm of this idea of he knows he has to be different. He has to do things differently. And I don't want to compare it to another former Jaguar, who obviously a very different situation, but I will say Leonard Fournette, another generational talent, another player who, you know, very openly, not like Trevor, who we know has said the importance of practice, the importance of doing work in the offseason. Leonard was very vocal heading into his third year. He never had to practice in middle school, high school, college, or his first year in the National Football League because he was just so God-given talented. I think that Trevor has had kind of that similar moment. And again, I'm not comparing him to Leonard Fournette, but this idea of these players who have this God-given ability saying, you know what, if I do want to be the best in the National Football League, I've got to move differently. And I think that that's happened for Trevor.
Mia O'Brien here with us on the Terminix Kickoff Show. All right, speaking of Trev, is he going to throw a bomb to Brian Thomas Jr. for a touchdown, and how long is it going to be? How many big plays do you think we'll see Brian Thomas get today, Mia?
Personally, I'm anticipating this to be a shootout, Tom, and that's no knock on Ryan Nielsen and his defense. I would love for them to shut down the Miami Dolphins, but I fully anticipated and expect a Mike McDaniel wrinkle of sorts that even if the Jaguars win this game, you will hear the national media talking about, oh, my goodness, what a revelation the Dolphins offense is for the next 6 days, just because that's the nature of the news cycle in the National Football League. That's who gets headlines. And so on the other side of things, I believe the Jags have an opportunity in front of them because all eyes will be on the Dolphins and their offense. The Jags have an opportunity to showcase their new look offense. How about this? I think you'll see a BTJ long catch and run down the sideline. Let's give it like 38 yards. Okay. How about Gabe Davis gets in the end zone before Brian Thomas Jr.? How do you like that prediction?
I like it.
Yeah, I
like
too.
it.
I mean,
we need him.
Yeah, and Gabe Davis again. It's an underrated or under talked about stat, but he's got 33 receiving touchdowns in this league. If you count the playoffs, and why wouldn't you?
Very talented.
So for a kid that's like 25 years old, 26 years old, to have 33 receiving touchdowns already, I certainly would not be the least bit surprising if Gabe Davis is able to burn the Dolphins for a touchdown. So, yeah, that'd be wonderful to see. Mia, let's flip it to the defensive side. What do you expect to see out of Ryan Nielsen from a scheme standpoint today?
Yeah, I expect to see the continuation of guys in different places. I don't know if you'll see quite the hockey shift that you did in the preseason, solely by nature of you need to create continuity at some point or another. But he wants fresh legs out there. So I do expect along that defensive front to see 2 or 3 guys being subbed in at a time, having players like Josh Hines and Trayvon Walker rotate inside on certain downs. I do expect to see players lined up according to what the matchup dictates. And that's going to be, I don't know about you, Hayes, for me, that's such a breath of fresh air. That's not a knock on Mike Caldwell. That's not a knock on Joe Cullen or on Todd Wash. But I'm truly not sure how much we heard the word matchup and, hey, you know what? If we look at their offensive line and the right guard is the weakest link, we're going to rotate Josh Hines Allen or Trayvon Walker inside. I'm not so sure we were having that conversation the last 6 years that I've been on this beat, and the fact that it was one of the first things out of Ryan Nielsen's mouth when he got here in March, February, that says to me an extremely positive development in this modern defense you'll see from Jacksonville.
We got to see him stop the run, Mia. You think we can control the rushing attack of Mostert and is it Achane? Both guys a tremendous amount of speed and very, very. I mean, Mostert last year had 21 touchdowns, 18 on the ground. Are we going to be able to control that running attack? What do you think?
Yeah, I asked Devon Hamilton earlier this week if there's any sort of secret sauce to stopping this elite speed of the Miami Dolphins and that type of running back versus a power running back. And he said, look, they're all half dozen, one's the other at the same time. So you can't really say, well, I prefer to face a bowling ball than I would a speed demon like Devon Achane. I think for the Jags, it's going to start and end with trying to run sideline to sideline and to corral those guys. Look, they're going to get their yards, just like Tyreek Hill is going to get his. It's just the nature of how this team plays. I'm not suggesting that you should let Tyreek Hill run wild or Devon Achane run wild. But I do think there are ways that you can say, you know what, a 2-yard pickup, fine, we'll live with that. At the same time, Ryan Nielsen has been extremely adamant about nothing cheap and nothing deep. And so while I don't expect the Jags to be like, okay, you can take everything underneath, that's fine, I do think at one point or another you're going to have to pick and choose and say, well, we'd rather give you those 5-yard pickups in the receiving game, the 2-yard pickups in the run game, because eventually if our third down defense is as good as we believe it to be, and the Falcons last year with Nielsen were 4th in the National Football League, and this team has better horses for the course, then at some point or another, we're just going to win on third down, and you can pick up your 2 and 5 yards and create a 3rd and 3 situation.
How do you expect the Dolphins to try and handle Hines Allen and Trayvon Walker?
That's a great question. Knowing that their 2 offensive tackles have struggled with health issues throughout the course of their career, I'm especially curious with Austin Jackson, who has had a resurgence of sorts thanks to the coaching of Mike McDaniel after he, much like Tua Tagovailoa, was very vocal about his, let's just say, disagreement with Brian Flores. I won't say bullying. I'm going to just say disagreement. I'm curious because Jackson does struggle to anchor, and so I think that might be a mismatch that the Jaguars really try to identify. I again, do also expect the Jaguars to say, all right, if Teron Armstead is the best offensive lineman along this front, then we should be trying to capitalize along those weaker links and try to line up our 2 best defensive linemen in Trayvon Walker and Josh Hines Allen against inferior competition. And so, again, that's where I think you're going to see less of this 85% of Trayvon Walker snaps coming at the left defensive end position, trying to just hammer home, he plays this spot and that is his position on the football field. I don't think that exists in Jacksonville anymore, and I'm very excited to see that development.
Mia, we're going to be playing your interview with left tackle Cam Robinson in our final segment, so about 20, 30 minutes from now, fans. Give us a sense of Cam Robinson and the interview and what kind of season you're expecting out of him.
Well, I'll say this, Hayes. I had to text Bill in Denmark about 20 minutes ago because I remembered that I had not communicated with him outside of an email to make sure that he cleaned up the interview a little bit because Cam did have a couple of cuss words. Does that give you an indication of how the interview went?
It does.
It was all fun and good. I texted you right afterwards, and I said, Hayes, I think that's the best interview I've ever had with Cam. He has become the old head in that locker room, and he loves it. That's not to say he believes he's washed up, because he doesn't. He believes he's a premier starting left tackle in this league, and so does this team. But I think it's so funny that you compare what Cam was early in his career. I think he's still the enforcer along the offensive line, but I also think that he is also this mellow, even keel, I've seen that crap before. It's fine. We got to let that go. We got to be on to the next play. He has been adamant, and you'll hear him say this, that he truly believes that it is an underrated point that Doug Pederson made of having your starting 5 play together as much as possible, and that continuity along an offensive line, and this idea of just dismissing the Jags O-line last year as, well, it wasn't good when there was a rotating door at multiple positions. And so we'll see if that starting 5 is able to be the starting 5 for 17 games. It doesn't happen in the National Football League all that often, but I think what also helps is that Cam and this offensive line know that the guys behind them have also had continuity and have had experience in games and in practice. And so if somebody was to go down, there's such familiarity in that room that while it isn't the same thing as that starting 5 having this unspoken language together, probably the next best thing.
Great stuff. Can't wait to hear the interview. Give us your prediction for the game before we let you run.
Yeah, I said on Duval Rundown, which of course you can catch live on Tuesdays, Thursdays, and immediately following every Jaguars game on our 1010XL Jaguars YouTube channel. Shout out Tommy Mack. He'll be popping on with Gus and Hacker coming up immediately following the final whistle of this one. I said 30-26 Dolphins. I'll stick by that. That's not to say I don't believe the Jaguars can get a win today. I absolutely do. I would love nothing more than to see that, especially to see Ryan Nielsen's defense really announce itself to the National Football League. I just look at what Mike McDaniel and the Dolphins have done each of the past 2 years. They've started 3-0. They started 3-1, actually. And the first game last year against the Los Angeles Chargers, the second game the year prior to that against the Baltimore Ravens, was that signature shootout. Oh, my goodness, what has Mike McDaniel cooked up this summer game? And so maybe it's against the Bills later this week on Thursday Night Football. But I also know there's an opportunity here against the Jags that you could see that signature. Oh, my goodness, all the NFL nerds go nuts for all of the teams that he's able to draw up. And so that's why I'm going to say Dolphins 30-26, but I absolutely believe the Jaguars can win this game.
Great stuff, Mia. Really appreciate your time. Best of luck, and we'll certainly look forward to all your outstanding coverage throughout the day.
Absolutely. Appreciate you guys. Appreciate you guys. See you tomorrow.
All right.
All righty. Take care. Mia O'Brien from Miami getting you ready for Jaguars at Dolphins. When we come back, Tommy and I are going to really sink our teeth into the intangibles of this game. We're going to give you the keys to the game that is coming up after this break. You're listening to 1010XL 92.5 FM.
I did not see this one coming.
Radio play-by-play is like stepping in a theater in your mind.
As good as it gets.
1010XL, Jacksonville's home for play-by-play.
Hey everybody, Mike Dempsey here for Dandy Foods. Dandy subs and sandwiches. Look, we always want you to think about those great options as you're driving around Duval. But the beauty is, even as I'm dropping pounds, Dandy's got great options for me as well. Told you all about their protein packs, delicious salads that they have out there. They have fruit cups for on the go. You know what they have. Veggie snack trays. You can grab those on the go as well. Perfect, healthy snack. Dandy is the name to know when you're on the go. So stop into a Gate store anywhere around Duval and make yours a dandy, and do it today.
VSiN's College Football Guide delivers betting previews of all 134 teams with best bets for the playoffs, Heisman Trophy, season win totals, conference winners, and much more. Only on VSiN. Pro subscribers get the full guide, but you can download your free copy of the guide right now. Featuring a betting preview of the Gators, Seminoles, and Bulldogs at 1010XL.com. That's 1010XL.com. 1010XL.com. Download your free copy of the guide right now.
When pests invade your space, you don't just need them out, you need them out fast. And you need to keep them out. At Terminix, we show up for you and eliminate pests quicker. Because we care about what matters most to you. When pests show up, so do we. Don't live with a pest problem. Terminix it. Visit Terminix.com today to schedule a free inspection online. That's TERMINIX.com. TERMINIX.com. Terminix it.
It's not just about relaxing. Fishing can be exciting.
That's a big fish in the box right there.
Captain Kevin and the Ring Power Fishing Forecast Show. Brought to you by Awaken 180 Weight Loss and Veterans Wholesale Cabinets.
Thursday nights at 6
on 1010 a.m.
Navy Mutual was created by service members for service members, so we know what it means to serve. Our policies have no active duty service restrictions, so you can rest assured that you're covered no matter your duty station, home or abroad. To go even further, we promise that premiums will not be higher for those who serve in dangerous environments, including aviation, diving, or on deployments. Let us help you protect those you love the most. Learn more at NavyMutual.org.
Everything about the game has changed, except for the most important thing. What you have inside. It is what drives the game. It refuses to be ignored. It sweats everything, turns an athlete into a legend. Gatorade, is it in you?
From Gatorade Zero to Gatorade Endurance Formula and Gator Light, there's something for every athlete. Find it at your local Winn-Dixie. It's a win-win. Gatorade, official partner of the NFL.
Hey
everybody. Jennifer Marion with Randy Marion Cadillac in Jacksonville, here to say hello. And we'd sure like to have your business.
You know what? They're going to love the king of price.
My dad believes in making great deals and having a great selection in stock.
Cadillac XT4s, XT5s, and XT6s, and Escalades.
The all-electric Cadillac Lyriq.
CT4s and CT5s.
Cadillac luxury and selection is just waiting for you.
At Randy Marion Cadillac, Southside Boulevard, Jacksonville.
And don't forget, tell them Jennifer sent you.
1010XL is presented by Farrah & Farrah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Protecting you and your family. Call 396-5555. Jacksonville.
The Terminix Kickoff Show.
Presented by Clearwater Irrigation and Gatorade Fast Twitch on 1010XL.
Oh, that howl from Axl Rose. How good is that right there?
You want to hear a funny story about this?
Yes.
I was asking the kids, I played this song pregame Friday. I said, who sings this? They're like, Welcome to the Jungle. I'm like, no, it's a song. They couldn't get it.
Yeah, unfortunately, that's not a surprise. I mean, this album came out in 1987.
Oh yeah.
So it's an antique now.
I saw Guns
fantastic.
open for Aerosmith in the summer of '88 after I graduated high school, at an outdoor show. Nobody knew who they were, and afterward we were like, oh my gosh, they were unbelievable.
That's hilarious. I saw Guns N' Roses open for Motley Crue here in the Coliseum.
Oh yeah, right.
And no one knew who they were, but they didn't sound good at all.
Oh really?
Yeah, their monitor must have been. So it was like, who is this band? They only played for like 40 minutes.
Yeah.
But in like 6 months later, they were like the biggest band in the world. But
we used to be the Jungle. That used to be our entrance song back in the day.
Yeah.
Like Welcome to the Jungle.
That's right.
I don't know why it went away. You let Cincinnati take it over now. Got to come up with something different.
I don't know. Welcome back to the Terminix Kickoff Show. We've got Tommy McManus. I'm Hayes Carline. Dylan Denmark is here. And, Tom, there's a lot of ins and outs to this game. I mean, there's storylines galore. So let's just break it all down. Dylan, let's do some keys to the game.
Now, the keys to the game. Brought to you by Instant Keys. Fast, professional, honest locksmith service.
Tommy, start us off. What is your number one key to the game for the Jaguars today at Miami?
Well, listen, I know everyone's thinking, the high flying, throw the ball around and watch the Dolphins receivers make all these plays. But I'm telling you right now, they averaged over 5.1 yards a carry from their running back position last year. They're very talented. And if they get both things going, it's going to be an avalanche, and it's going to be very, very tough to stop. They look, like Mia said, like we all believe, they're going to get their plays. They're going to make their points here and there, but you got to limit that running game so you have a chance. So I think that's a big key today.
Obviously tackling is always going to be important in football, but it's week one. They've got dynamic athletes. I think the corners tackling today, I think, is critical because I don't think the Dolphins, I don't think they want Tua to really sit back in the pocket for 4 seconds with Josh Hines-Allen and Trayvon Walker going up against what I think is a mismatch for the Jaguars against those Miami offensive tackles. So I think it's going to be a lot of quick stuff where they're going to take advantage of the fact that Tyson Campbell and Ronald Darby are giving them cushion. So those guys have got to come up, and you've got to make the tackle, because if you miss on Hill and Waddle, you're putting a lot of pressure on your safeties to make an open field tackle against two of the greatest guys going in the NFL.
Well, that's why those pursuit drills in practice are so important, because you're absolutely right. You don't want to miss and have them go outside down the sideline because nobody will catch them. If you can turn them back in and everybody's running to the ball, that's when good things can happen. You can knock that ball out, but tackling will be a key. I mean, look, I want to see the physicality of our offensive line. I mean, look, all we heard since last season was, well, they didn't really play together as a unit. You got to give them a chance. There's some truth to that. They run a zone blocking scheme. They all have to be on the same page, same timing. But I want to see a little aggressiveness today. Cam Robinson, who we're going to hear from, man, he's been the intimidator. He's been the guy that, doesn't let anyone push his guys around. You got Mitch Morse to the table. I think Brandon Scherf needs to get back to his old mauling, days as a right guard. And I think Anton's poised for a huge year. So I want to see this offensive line. We know what identity means. It means something, right? And if my identity is I got an ass-kicking offensive line, well, guess what? People are going to pay attention to that.
Well, and again, I think it's a great point because you've got this exceptional back in Travis Etienne. And while, yes, he can obviously help you in the passing game, if they could get the run established early, what a confidence boost it would be because everybody knows the biggest question with this team is the offensive line, in particular the interior offensive line. So, and again, I look at Miami, I don't see an unbelievable defensive front. I mean, I think they've got some good pieces, but they're going to see, like next week when we talk about Cleveland, much different.
No doubt.
Cleveland will get you in a street fight. The Dolphins, I don't see it as much, so they do have some talent, don't get me wrong, but this is a game where it's a measuring stick game for me because if the offensive line can't move the Dolphins with any kind of consistency, to me that's going to be a big red flag moving forward.
Yeah. Well, I think although we don't really know their names, but I think Calais' name. Benito Jones, their nose, if they can block him. And that Zach Seiler, he's a big defensive end. He can play the run. So we do have to get a little bit of run game going against this front. David Long Jr. is probably their top linebacker. He was with the Titans. He's active. He'll make plays. But I think you can get a running game going on them. And look, it's a lot of times it's that timing. And what I saw during camp and preseason, the timing was on. You saw Etienne break out a couple of times. That's not just him, barreling over somebody. That's him hitting the hole at the right time, the line blocking it at the right time. That's what a zone blocking offense does. You hit it at the right time. We saw that with Tank as well. I want to see some of that today. I think that's going to be key.
I'm curious also looking at the Jaguar defense. A big key to me today is three guys, Devin Lloyd, Ronald Darby, and Antonio Johnson. Because I have to think Mike McDaniel for the last 4 months, those are the three guys that he is focused in on of how can we get these guys matched up in bad situations to take advantage, or just can we fool them into creating an explosive play for ourselves? Because Devin Lloyd, we've talked about it, good athlete, but this is a tough challenge for Devin Lloyd with the sophistication of what they do, the talent that they have. So if I was Mike McDaniel, I would be looking at Devin Lloyd, certainly Ronald Darby, because he's just not as good as Tyson Campbell, and you've got two exceptional receivers. So certainly, with Tua, it's going to be, obviously we have confidence that we can beat Tyson Campbell, but we should have extreme confidence that they can have success against Darby. And then you've got Antonio Johnson there, and really his first significant action as a starter. So to me, that's the point. If I'm Mike McDaniel, I'm trying to run a lot of things that's going to make Devin Lloyd, Ronald Darby, and Antonio Johnson have to make the right decision or have to execute the right play.
Well, that's a great point, especially on Lloyd. But one thing I noticed that Nielsen was doing with Lloyd was putting him up on the line of scrimmage and working games with the defensive linemen in a pass rush capacity, and it was very effective. I'm a little concerned with the coverage. And by the way, the guy we haven't mentioned yet, Jonnu Smith, who's a free agent tight end, he can run.
Yeah.
He can run. So if you don't account for him, you're going to have a tough time. But you got to get pressure up the middle. I mean, our outside guys, I expect them to win a lot today, but you got to get that up the middle and get Tua to move, because Tua's not like our quarterback. He's not going to run and get out of dodge and make something happen. He can move a little bit. He's not a statue, but if you get him off that mark, that's when you can get a chance of slowing down that offense. I mean, look, you got to hurt him a little. You got to hit him. Another big key is which quarterback gets hit less.
Right.
Last year Trevor took a beating. When I'm not just talking about the injuries. Every game he was taking too many hits. You want to hit theirs a ton. You don't want ours getting hit a ton. That could be another key, keeping him safe.
You can probably count on seeing a lot of quick game in terms of the passing on both sides.
Both sides. Oh, yeah.
I mean, wouldn't you think?
Absolutely.
I mean, and when the Jaguars utilize that, who do you see being the guys that are going to have the most targets today when you look at that Jaguar passing attack.
It's going to be interesting with Gabe. One thing, I love the pickup. I think he's going to be great. They didn't connect in the end zone in the preseason almost a couple times. You can see in Gabe's face, like he really wanted, maybe like Mia said, he gets one today. That'll be interesting to watch. But I think Evan Ingram's going to be a focal point. I think he had a great camp. Him and Trevor have great chemistry. And then in a perfect world, Captain Kirk back in action, man. Nobody can cover him one-on-one in the middle of the field. As long as everybody's out of the way, we're going to see a couple of those things today. Flip side, Braxton Berrios is their slot. He's pretty decent. He's not a bad guy, but I'm not as concerned about him as I am about Jonnu Smith. And then for us, I think Kirk and Ingram going to have big days today.
Oluokun said something really interesting in terms of going up against the Dolphins. He said the first picture that they show you is not going to be the last picture. Talk about their running game, the sophistication of it, and also the fact that they do have, Mostert is the veteran guy. Achane is incredibly explosive. They've got this rookie, Jalen Wright.
I know, I saw
that they're really excited about. Yeah. From the linebacker standpoint, what will be the challenge today that Oluokun and Lloyd and Muma down the line will have to?
Well, first of all, you're scared to death they're going to beat – not the backs are going to beat you deep, but their offense is going to beat you. They're just going to have big plays, and then you're going to be worried about the pass, and then they hit you with the run. One of the things that are really hard for linebackers and safeties today is this RPO because, a lot of times it looks like a run, it ends up being a pass, or vice versa, and it just throws you off. That'll be some balance that they do. Their backs are no different than ours, and their line, as far as hitting the hole at the right time, it's all about timing, getting up into that hole, and then using that speed. So you got to get to them before they get to you. We talk about a scat back being fast or a power back having power. You want to get to them into the backfield as best you can. And I'd much rather have a small, fast guy meet me in the hole than some big Derrick Henry meet me in the hole all day long. I don't care how fast he is. He's not going anywhere if I can meet him in that hole.
Yeah, without a doubt. And again, I think that's the concern for me is that Mike McDaniel has had months.
He's a wizard. He's a wizard.
To get ready for the Jaguars and what Ryan Nielsen wants to do. And so, again, I look at this game from Ryan Nielsen's standpoint of it's almost like if the Dolphins have a lot of success today, it's hard for me to judge Ryan Nielsen too harshly because this is, to me, a very difficult putt to be your first opponent on the road as a new defensive coordinator. But, Tom, if they can somehow hold Miami to 24 or under, I think it would speak volumes for the talent the Jaguars have amassed defensively and how they are being utilized by Ryan Nielsen if they're able to walk out today and Miami's looking at a point total in the mid-20s.
I mean, what they're going to have to do today, at least on the outside, I think you are going to have to press on occasion and then play off and then disguise it, try to keep them off balance as to what you're going to do. None of it works without a rush. It doesn't necessarily mean sacks or even hits. It's just getting into his way, into his lane of throwing and getting those hands up, right? So that's going to be a really key. But let's face it. You got speed wide receivers all year long. You're going to have to press. If you're a press 2 defense, guess what you have to play? That press 2. So I think we'll see a little bit of both today, a little bit of off, a little bit of on, up in their face. The good thing about that is if you can get your hands on them in that first 5 yards, you can dictate the route a little bit better than if they're off the ball and they make you miss in space. Now you're in big trouble. They get up on your hip, and especially Hill, he gets up on your hip and he's a little bit ahead of you. Man, it's tough to keep up with him no matter which way he breaks.
And that's a great point about Trayvon Walker and Josh Hines-Allen getting their hands up. Because it's going to we believe a lot of this is going to be Tua gets the snap and Tua's throwing the ball for a variety of reasons. But what Trayvon really looked like in the preseason, he was starting to develop that savvy that Josh sort of already has in terms of that. Like, if you're not going to get there and you see Tua, get your hand up. Trayvon, we saw deflect a pass in the preseason. A lot of times that ball's going to go skyrocketing right up into the air. I mean, that is a pick 6 waiting to happen. And so that is something that I think is a big key for the Jaguars today. Walker and Hines-Allen being cognizant of, look, he may be throwing it to where I have no chance to pressure him. But if it's coming to my side with my length if I can get a hand on it, it can be a game-altering turnover. At the very least, it affects his confidence, even if the ball just hits the ground, that he couldn't throw over the defensive line. But then you add to the fact that, look, I mean, Tua, we don't know. I mean, he could be one head injury away from who knows what his career is going to look like. I mean, he has really had some scary moments. He was healthy last year, but 2 years ago, it was one of the biggest storylines of the entire NFL season is when he had those two really scary incidents. So
you ever crack your sternum before?
No.
I have.
Yeah.
I had a hairline fracture.
Yeah.
It's hard to breathe when you got a hairline fracture in your sternum.
Yeah.
Crack his sternum a little bit today.
Yeah,
That's all I'm saying.
Right. And
ruin his day, Hayes. Ruin his day.
Well, and that's the thing. Like, even if, to your point, even if you're not getting the sack, if you can get to Tua and get it in his head that you're close and speed him up a little bit, then it could make a gigantic difference. And again, the same thing. Look, unfortunately, I think you can say the same thing on the Jaguars end of things. Not that Trevor Lawrence has had the scary head issues, thank goodness.
No,
but he is coming off a season with a multitude of injuries. So if that first couple of drives, if he is getting hit, to your point, he's not going to play well. I mean, we have no history that suggests that if Trevor is getting pressured, and look, most quarterbacks are like
no,
this,
they don't have pressure.
But that, I mean, to me, that first quarter, which team can harass the quarterback first, big step in this game.
Well, and the difference is Trev can get out of dodge and make something happen. And I think that's when he's at his best, Hayes, when he's not, so focused on being in the pocket. You have to do those things. But, sometimes that breaks down and you just got to go make a play. And when he does that, like New Orleans, one of his best games, I think. Great throwing the ball, taking off and running when you have to. Not select, called plays. But, look, you have these weapons that you possess. You're a big guy. You've bulked up a little bit. You're deceptively fast. I mean, nobody really catches him. He can get out of dodge quick. And maybe it's just sneaking off for that first down, and getting out of bounds, making something happen, diving for a first down. Look, you get in the flow of the game better. Hey, you get a first down throwing the ball or running with it. It don't matter. It's still a first down, and we're moving. We're getting into that rhythm. So I think we can see that out of Trevor today. He's got to be careful. We don't want him getting hurt. But he's pretty smart with the football when it comes to that.
Yeah, he is.
I think.
Yeah, no doubt about it. It's going to be a fun game. Can't wait. We're closing in on it. When we come back, we've got one more segment to go on the Terminix Kickoff Show. We're going to have that interview, Mia O'Brien with left tackle Cam Robinson from earlier in the week. We also give you our final thoughts about the game, give you our predictions of how the game is going to go today, and that'll lead into the Publix Tailgate Show coming up at 10 o'clock. You were listening to 1010XL on 92.5 FM.
Hey everybody, it's Mike Dempsey. Here in North Florida, you know that when temperatures go up and your AC goes out, you need help now. Like right now. Like lickety-split. So why not call Lickety Split and get same-day emergency service for your AC? Now, I bet you've seen their trucks all over town because they've got dozens of certified technicians ready to repair not only your AC, but your home's plumbing and electrical too. So when you want it done right and you need it done right now, call Lickety Split AC Plumbing and Electric.
VSiN's College Football Guide delivers betting previews of all 134 teams with best bets for the playoffs, Heisman Trophy, season win totals, conference winners, and much more. Only on VSiN. Pro subscribers get the full guide, but you can download your free copy of the guide right now. Featuring a betting preview of the Gators, Seminoles, and Bulldogs at 1010XL.com. That's 1010XL.com. 1010XL.com. Download your free copy of the guide right now.
I'm here with Clayton Bromberg of Underwood Jewelers. Clayton, you spend a lot of time talking about diamonds, but what about some of the colored stones we see?
Frank, when you talk about colored stones, there are literally hundreds of varieties and species in the gem kingdom. As certified gemologists, we're trained gemologically on the identification of each of these and can separate the man-made synthetics and imitations from the real thing. But at Underwoods, we can go to the next step. At Underwoods, we're active buyers of loose colored stones in the world markets, so we have an understanding of the values of colored stones as they relate back to the various qualities. In fact, just like diamonds, we buy most of our colored stones loose, then create the pieces of jewelry to hold the gems. You can be assured not only of the authenticity and quality of our colored stone jewelry, but also of the value. So if you're in the market for a fine quality emerald, sapphire, ruby, aquamarine, amethyst, citrine, tourmaline, peridot, or any other gemstone, come by and see us at Underwoods.
Hey guys, this is David Garrard, and I want to tell you about Clearwater Irrigation. They put my new sprinkler system in at my new home at Jack's Beach, and I couldn't be happier. Oh, hey John.
What's up, Dave? You know what this means. You're going to have to sing.
Man, I can't sing.
Then you'll fit right in, buddy. Clearwater Irrigation. We can't sing a lick, but we sure are good at sprinklers. Hit it, Dave.
And drainage too.
ClearwaterJacks.com. When they were little, the other girls played with dolls.
Aww.
They played with footballs.
Who's that?
Yes, it's us.
Helmets and heels.
From the First Coast Lighting Studios at 1010XL.
Weekdays noon to 2.
Some girls have all the fun.
Want to be up close and personal with the Jaguars as they take the field? Here's your chance to be in the shadows, outside the Jaguars locker room, now called the Vault. Enter today at everbank.com/shadows. One winner and a guest for every home game at Everbank Stadium. No purchase necessary to enter or win. Open to legal residents in 50 United States and D.C. 18 and older. Entry periods for the Shadow Sweepstakes promotion from 8/19/24 to 12/15/24. For official rules and complete details, visit everbank.com/shadows. Sponsored administrator, Everbank NA, member FDIC.
1010XL is presented by Farrah & Farrah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Protecting you and your family. Call 396-5555. Jacksonville. Getting game day underway.
It's the Terminix Kickoff Show.
Presented by Clearwater Irrigation and Gatorade Fast Twitch on 1010XL.
All right, welcome back. We've got Tommy Mack. We've got Dylan Denmark. I'm Hayes Carlyon, getting you ready for Jaguars at the Dolphins. Publix Tailgate Show, by the way, up next at 10 o'clock. So the pregame just keeps on rolling. We've got one more segment with you until we hand it off to them. Tom, we're going to obviously play Mia's interview with Cam Robinson, but before we get to that, give us a thought on Cam Robinson, where he is at this stage of his career, in your opinion.
Yeah, no, listen, I think a healthy Cam's a good Cam. I do. Last year being suspended sucked, but when he was healthy, he can play left tackle. I mean, look, I don't know if he's premier left tackle. I don't know if you have to be a premier left tackle, but I think I was equated to like percentages, right? So I think 90% of the time you can count on Cam Robinson to do his job. I love his attitude, and he gets after people. Unfortunately, and this goes for all linemen, when you make the mistake, that 10% you make the mistake, a lot of times it's at a really bad time in the game. You give up a sack when you're driving down the field and it's third down and you need this first down and protection breaks down. You know what I mean? That kind of thing. It happens across the league. I'm not saying it doesn't. But I like Cam on this team when Cam's healthy. And the biggest reason I like him, Hayes, is because of his attitude. Because he is that kind of enforcer. He takes no bull from anybody. He tries to give it. I think Morse will be a nice combination. I think Anton has it in him as well. I think he's a feisty kind of guy. But, yeah, you want that. I mean, I'll go with, you kidding me? Love to walk in a bar with Baselli and Searcy in their prime. Nobody's touching me.
Right.
I mean, I don't have to worry about anything. I wouldn't even pay attention to anybody because they're right there. I got nothing to worry about. So he's definitely a upper tier left tackle when healthy, and we need him to stay healthy.
And hard to believe, but he's now with Tyler Shatley released, it cuts. Cam Robinson's now the eldest Jaguar, a second-round pick in 2017.
Wow.
So it doesn't feel like that, but that's how fast time flies by. But, yeah, Cam Robinson now certainly embracing that leadership role. So here is Mia O'Brien with left tackle Cam Robinson.
Pleased to be joined with Jaguars left tackle Cam Robinson. Cam, I can't believe year 8? Yeah. Seriously? Year 8? When I say that, I mean, first emotion that comes to mind.
Damn. But yeah, year 8. It was actually weird because I was talking to Brandon last night, Brandon Linder.
Yeah.
That's my guy. I talked to him about it. That's my heart. So I was talking to him last night, and he was just like, "Bro, I'm so proud of you," because he obviously was here when I got drafted, and it was just kind of just looking back on everything and kind of just just reminiscing a little bit. Kind of makes me sound old, but
Because once Linder was the old head in the room.
Exactly. When I got here, Linder was the old head, and I was a young guy. And the other day, Tyson called me Unc, and I'm just like, bro, what's going? I'm like, what's going on, man? Yeah, no. So it's a special feeling.
And of course, he then has to rub in the Georgia thing too, Tyson.
I don't know why he ain't never beat Alabama. Tyson, I think 0-2, so he can't say nothing.
Let the record show, and Kalen DeBoer's got them picking up right where Saban left off.
I hope so. I hope it can just be like a seamless transition.
That's what we're all rooting for. And we're obviously rooting for this team in this locker room coming off of last year, get right back on the right foot. How much have you talked? I know, at the beginning of training camp, obviously, we had to ask you guys ad nauseum about it. But how much have you talked about how last year finished in the last week in particular?
It's tricky because it's kind of one of those things where you kind of don't want to bring last season into this season, but it's good to be kind of self-aware and to kind of know what needs to be fixed and what needs to be corrected, and just ultimately what we need to be better at, what we need to get better at. So it's kind of a tricky thing where you don't want to bring too much of last season into this season, but there is some stuff that you should take, and it should stick with you a little bit.
It's that chip, right? I know Dewey has said that this team, this group of guys, from when you all came from different backgrounds, different colleges, different high schools, for whatever the reason, this is a group of guys that plays better with the chip when everyone's counting them out.
Absolutely. I think it's I don't know what it is about the chip, but I mean obviously it does. A chip on your shoulder does something for everybody, but I think in this locker room we carry it just a little more. I don't know, maybe a Jacksonville thing. But we a little bit.
I was going to say Duval, but hey, you said it, not me. So
I definitely think that has a little. I mean, just me being here so long and me just kind of knowing how everything works. I think that has a little bit to do with it.
Let's talk a little bit about your offensive line group. This is a group that Doug said the goal was to have these starting five together. Didn't have that starting five together. You bring Mitch in to the middle. How has that starting five now gelled together in 6-7 weeks of training camp?
It's been everything. Keeping the same group, and I'll probably say this a trillion times, and I'll say it a trillion more. It's just keeping the same group together. You can't put words in there how valuable that is. That's everything. So we just kind of want to, hopefully, everybody stay injury free. Everybody, it's football, shit happens, but we kind of want to keep everybody. We want to keep that same unit together, because I think everybody feels that this can be a really good unit. But that starts with all of us being on the field together and just kind of building that camaraderie and just kind of leaning on each other in a sense.
Speaking of SEC, Tank Bigsby, the growth of that guy, and the run game in particular. I mean, you guys took it down to the studs, but seeing him, especially inside zone, in between the tackles, I mean, emotionally for you as a veteran of this locker room, what does it mean to see that growth? Tank is night and day, and it was funny because I was just talking with one of our assistant coaches, and I was just like, between Tank and Parker, who you think have made the most? Because both of them has just been like night and day. So I'm proud of him. Like I'm happy for him, and I just want him to. I want what he's done and all the work he's put in. I want that to continue to show. So I just want him to keep just kind of trending in the right direction. Quickly on the Dolphins a little bit. No Bradley Chubb this Sunday. Chop Robinson, rookie. You've gone against a lot of rookies. Him with Phillips also coming off the injury. What sort of challenges do those two guys present, knowing you obviously have limited tape of the one? Well, first of all, I think it just kind of speaks to their depth to be able to be down a couple of rushers and still have, they go draft the guy, and then Phillips being able to come back early out the Achilles is just like what. But I think it just kind of speaks to their depth, and all those guys that they have outside, they do a really good job of rushing. They do a really good job of setting up their rushes, and they all seem to have a plan. Even Chop, with him being young, he seems to rush with a plan as well. So I'm looking forward to the challenge. Last but not least, what will your conversation with Calais be out there on the field? I don't know. Calais is a talker. He always talking, so I don't know. We'll probably shoot a little bit, talk a little bit. I'm try to keep him out the backfield. So yeah, it'll be fun. It'll be fun to compete against him. Awesome, Cam. Appreciate the time. All right, thank you.
Yeah, appreciate that. Great interview there, Mia O'Brien with Cam Robinson. He brought up something really interesting about Tank Bigsby. I and Mia talked about that, she thinks he could have a really big role today. Etienne obviously is the feature back, but that she thinks, Tank Bigsby could really make a difference with the work he's going to get. Where do you see Tank Bigsby going?
So I do think Tank had a good camp. He has looked like he runs with a lot more confidence. Couple he could have broken. I think against Tampa, he had a couple shots at that. Mm-hmm. I like him. The only thing that I still question is this short yardage because he got stuffed again in a game, one-on-one, in the hole. I mean, sometimes that happens. I'm not saying, you don't win every one the other way around, but I want to see him win those battles, And a lot of times, Hayes, he's not that big. I mean, he's not. I don't know what his weight is, 210 maybe? What is he, 220?
Yeah. Yeah,
I mean,
in there.
It's not 250. 250
No.
A lot different coming through the hole, 250 or 260 and that short yardage. But sometimes, instead of taking that hit head on, you got to slide a little bit on that tackle. So even though they make the tackle, you still get the first down. You know what I mean? He hasn't gotten that down yet. The good backs do. Yeah, sometimes they're going to run you over, try to. Sometimes you're going to get stuffed. But the ones that are real good, right as you're about to hit them, they just slide a little bit. And although you may tackle them, they're still getting that first down. They're still getting that yard or two.
And with Bigsby, I think Travis Etienne's going to have a huge year. Yeah. So, I mean, Bigsby needs to play well when asked.
Yep.
But the way I look at it, if Etienne stays healthy the whole season, he's a guy that I think can go for 1,800 yards of offense. I think he could have 1,200 on the ground, 600 through the air.
He should be our C-Mac.
Yeah, absolutely.
Without a doubt, he should have that kind of production in this offense. Same as they have out in San Francisco with Christian McCaffrey.
And I think that can start today.
Oh, without a doubt.
I think
it has to.
Yeah, I think it can start today. I think the challenge that the Dolphins have is that while the Jaguars don't have the superstars like a Tyreek Hill, they're very good all the way down the line. So whether it is Etienne, but you've got to worry about, from a passing game standpoint, Christian Kirk and Evan Ingram and Brian Thomas and Gabe Davis.
Right.
So you're not going to be able to stack the box to stop Etienne. And that's where I think, and that's going to be, that's not just a Dolphins problem.
No, right.
That's going to be a problem for every opponent the Jaguars face.
Yep.
So I think Etienne, if he can stay healthy, I think he is headed to a huge year.
Yep.
It's no knock against Tank Bigsby,
no, I know.
but I think Etienne is superstar potentially.
Oh, he is for sure. You got to get him in that rhythm. You really do. And I think getting him involved in the pass game, which we saw during camp, lining up in the slot, lining up outside, he's a guy that can win those one-on-one matchups. You mentioned Kirk. I think he's, that guy, him and Ingram. Because, look, compare the weapons Miami to us. Yeah, you've got Waddle and you've got Tyreek. Great. Well, you know what? I'll take our slot over yours, Kirk over Berrios. I'll take our tight end over yours, over Jonnu Smith, Ingram over Jonnu. I like our running backs. I'll probably give you the edge a little bit just because you got two that are really, really good, and we've got one that I believe is really, really good, and one that could be but hasn't shown it yet. So you might give them the nod there. Quarterback, based on stats last year, you'd say Tua, but whatever. They're at least even, and the tools that Trevor has possesses are greater than his. But production, you got to give it to Tua at least last year, but it's pretty close. So I take that, and then it comes down to what? Who blocks for who? Yeah. Who keeps their quarterback clean? Who gives that back just that little smidgen of a crease that I can get through and make something happen? And I know it's old school, and I know we got all this flash, all this stuff. At the end of the day, if you don't win the line of scrimmage, you're probably not winning the game.
Well, another component of this offense that I'm excited about, and we saw it in the Kansas City preseason opener, that angle route with Etienne, where, I mean, it was a walk-in touchdown against the Chiefs.
Yep.
What is the difficulty from a linebacker safety perspective when you get that from the Jaguars, Trevor Etienne on that little route there?
Right.
How difficult is that to stop?
Yeah. So that was an angle route out of the backfield, right? So he comes out of the backfield and he bends it in. Look, when you got a back, and he played it great because it was probably an option route. So here comes, well, we can't really show it, but I'll show you. So Etienne comes out of the backfield. The backer comes up to take him, but what happens is the backer he loses inside out positioning, He goes over the top. So what does Etienne do? Fake outside, come in. He's wide open, touchdown. So that's a weapon and a half. And you better be a really good cover guy. Like, you wouldn't put me out on Etienne in the open field. I'm just saying, I wouldn't do it. I'd try to take his head off, but I'd probably miss. You know what I mean? The effort would be there, but I'd probably miss him. But you got to have a really good cover guy to take care of that. But that's another part of the weaponry that you can use with Travis Etienne. I don't think you'd feel comfortable doing that with Tank yet. No. I don't think that's the case. So I do think Etienne has that kind of thing. And then, look, back to inside the tackles. Etienne has got to get up in that hole, man. It's, again, all based on timing, and I think he hit it pretty good this preseason. Now we just got to see if it translates to the regular season.
Let's get it to our picks. Tommy Mack, you lead us off. What are we going to see today, Week 1, Jaguars at Dolphins?
I think I'm going to be yelling at the TV early, but then I'm going to be celebrating later, and I think we win the game 27-24. I think it's going to be a fun game. I don't think it's going to be the shootout people think it's going to be, like this 30, 40 points. Could be wrong, but I don't think it's going to happen. Although, the Dolphins are very capable of that, and maybe we are too. We just haven't seen it. Let's see with the new weapons, with Gabe, with, Brian Thomas Jr. But I think we're going to be really competitive. I'm looking forward to this defensive line. I'm looking forward to seeing our edge rushers, seeing what they can do, and, of course, our DB, seeing if they can keep up. Close game, but we beat the fish. We stomped the air out of the fish. 27-24.
Love it. Dylan, who wins today?
McManus, you squish the fish. That's what you're supposed to do. I think the Dolphins get one more big play than the Jags, and I think the Dolphins win by a field goal. 37-34, 34-31 kind of game. Shootout.
Okay. And I've got it Jaguars winning, but I agree with you. I think it's going to come right down to the final play. I've got Jaguars 31, Dolphins 30. You're right about the first game. Sometimes the offenses aren't really in sync, but I think with these two matchups, I think, are favorable for both offenses. So I think a wildly entertaining game, and I think one in which the Jaguars go to 1-0. So it's going to be fun.
Yeah.
It's going to be fun. It's been a fun show, man. And it's here. All we got to do is go watch a game.
Now it's real.
It's real, absolutely.
Yep.
Well,
no excuses out there. None.
That's right.
Win or else.
We've got tons of great stuff coming up. Again, the Publix Tailgate Show is up after us. You then will have the Jaguar broadcast. We've got tons of post-game as well. The fifth quarter will round us out today. That's with Hacker, Coach Dave Campo, and Leon Searcy. So Jaguars coverage all day long and well into the night here on 1010XL 92.5 FM. And, again, this is a game. This is a significant game.
Agreed.
This is a game January 8th. You might be saying, thank God we beat the Dolphins in Week 1.
Right.
Because we're sitting at 10-7.
Yeah.
They're sitting at 10-7, and only one of us is getting in, and we have the tiebreaker.
Right.
So it's early, but this game could take on gigantic consequences late in the year.
And not only that, though, then you back it up with another team that could be vying for that wild card positioning with Cleveland. And you're going to have to beat them if you don't beat the Dolphins.
Yeah.
Right? Those AFC matchups, although they're not division, they are next in line for tiebreakers. So they do they can end up being very important. I say win.
Yeah.
Better than losing.
Without a doubt.
Go win the game, baby.
Without a doubt. Thank you so much for listening to the Terminix Kickoff Show. Our thanks to Frank Frangie for his great interview with Doug Pederson and for taking the time to join us over the phone. Thank you to Mia O'Brien for joining us. Thank you to Foye Oluokun and Cam Robinson for talking with us earlier in the week. For Tom McManus, for Dylan Denmark, I am Hayes Carlyon. The Publix Tailgate Show is up next on 1010XL 92.5 FM.